Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 15 Good Minutes. Coach B here. Freddie, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. LB, what's up, man?
Hey man, glad to be here.
All right. I was taking a look, and we actually, before we came on air, we were just talking about climate control, specifically about air conditioning and when you turn it on in your house and stuff. And I was explaining to the team that, I just did mine a week or so ago, but it was definitely in June when I turned it on. And I remember when I did it, LB, I said to myself, where the hell did April and May go? Like we are in June right now, right? We're at the halfway point. And then I want to parlay that into how you consume sports. I don't want to, I could easily ask you how you consume media, but that could be a conversation all of its own because there's so many different potential avenues to that. But what I got to think about the summertime for me, I spend a lot of time with baseball. I'm probably consuming 8 to 9 games a week over a given week of different types. And I said, I want to find out from you guys how you consume it. Is there a favorite place in the house when you do watch it? And what your preference is. So LB, I want to start with you, and it's not sports specific, okay? And in your case, I don't want you to include like what you just did at ShopRite. I mean, you do that because you do that. And when we're talking about folks, he covers golf, PGA, LPGA, and pro golf. So he's at golf courses all the time. So yes, he gets to see it live, but I don't count that because, he's inside the ropes and that ain't normal. You know what I'm saying? So I want to know as a fan
right.
of sports, yes. What's your favorite method or way to consume sports? And then are there any live sports that you prefer over non-live?
Yeah, so yes, there's a definite distinction between what I like live and what I like on TV. My live ones are hockey, for one. I love hockey live. I will watch it on TV, but I 100% prefer it live. Baseball. I'm not I put in air quotes. I'm not a big baseball fan, but I do occasionally watch baseball. Much prefer it live than on TV. To me, it's just slow and boring on TV to me. The other thing I like live, which I alluded to last week, people to go watch the boxing in Norfolk. I like boxing live too, but with a caveat, you got to have good seats.
What is a good seat in boxing? Ringside?
Well, I don't have to be ringside, but close enough that when I can hit when they hit each other, I kind of get that. I feel that too. So I like boxing. Obviously I've said it 3-4 times. I do enjoy boxing. TV stuff, football. If I'm watching football, I prefer that on TV just because it's so slow live, and you got the weather element as well. It's to me that with all the timeouts and the TV timeouts and this and that and the other, you just sitting in the stands wasting plenty good time, and you don't get good replays.
That's true.
A lot of times in football stadiums. We alluded to golf. I go to a lot of golf tournaments. You gotta watch that on TV because if you're there, you're missing 17 other holes. You're missing action on 17 other holes. So if you want to see what's happening as a whole on the course, you got to watch it. You have no choice but to watch it on TV because you can't be everywhere all the time. As far as where I watch when I'm home, it depends on the event.
Okay.
If it's a big game, then I'll come downstairs. I got a nice easy chair, and I think my TV's 70, 75 inches, whatever. I'll pop in front of that through the speakers. Crowd noise, a whole deal. And got my little stand on the side with my beverages and snacks of choice. And then that's where I'm planting myself and I'm going to watch it. Like obviously Final Four, Super Bowls, that kind of stuff. A big fight.
Ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm downstairs watching TV. A regular Monday night game or Tuesday night football, basketball, or whatever, I catch it wherever I catch it. Usually upstairs. I think that's the gist of it. Is that something I missed?
No, that's it. That's a good start. I'm going to come back to you in a second. Freddie, when you're consuming sports, which ones you prefer live and not? And then when you are in a watching from a residential spot, what's your go-to?
My preference it would be either one, it be a dome or a night game with good weather,
Mhm.
right?
That's a lot of
I mean,
preferences.
that's about as I mean. I remember when I became a Buccaneers season ticket holder years ago. My first tickets were on the end zone, and I would go. You watch go to a Tampa game, in September in the end zone in the September. Yeah, it's pretty hot, at a 1 o'clock game. But then as I got more familiar with the process and and reviewing other options that you can do this a lot better. So it really just depends on the time of year, the actual because if I know it's gonna rain or snow or be extremely cold, I'm not going to it.
Right.
Live or whatever. I'm just not. That's the waste of my. You have some idiots that actually like to sit out there in 90-degree heat.
Mhm.
In a torrential
Sure,
downpour
yeah.
when the snow. I'm not doing it because it takes away from what you really paid money to see. So to me, it has to be the conditions have to be as close to perfect as possible. Would I prefer to watch a game? It really depends on a bevy of factors. Depends on do I have to go to work the next day? It depends. Depends on
That sounds
depends.
more like that has a lot to do with what you're going to be consuming than what you watching.
It depends. No, it depends because if I don't have to go to work next day, because the televisions in my house are different sizes in different rooms, and so it really just depends. If I don't have to go to work the next day or what have you, if I decide to go upstairs in my man cave where I have the 80 inch and I just so happen to fall asleep during the game, well, I fall asleep in a nice, comfortable place or whatever. So it really just depends on what game I'm watching. But if it's a game that I'm watching, well, that I'm interested in, but I got to go to work the next day, I probably watch that in the bedroom to where if I do fall asleep, um, it's no issue.
I do factor in, like, say, there's a lot of stuff I like to see live. I will factor in what does it take to make that happen. So, I was a season ticket holder with the Nationals through the 2019 season when we won it all. But to go to a Nationals game in this town, Freddie, you got to commit a day from where I live. You got to get to the train station, then the train station into the city. Getting out of the game just adds some time to it. It's a lot more than an already lengthy event, like like a baseball game. So that has some factor into it. And what I found over the years, like you said, how you started manipulating your Tampa Bay Bucks package. I started doing the same thing. So I no longer did a full season. You can't go to 80 home games. I don't care who you are.
Right.
And working, to your point, has a lot to do with it. So I factor in whether or not I have to go to work with only live events. If it's something good on TV, I don't care if I gotta go to work the next day or not. It's easier to watch at home. Um, LB hit it too with hockey. To me, is the one sport that I have to watch live. It is the most it's the sport with the biggest difference between. I lose the puck on television, but I don't lose it when I'm watching it live.
Right.
And I'll take your comment about boxing. I think it's very important with hockey as well. You need to be close enough so I can hear that when it hits the ice and you feel like a part of it. I like watching basketball live at any level. Same thing though. I gotta have good seats. I want to hear the ball bounce. I want to hear the people talking shit to each other. Whatever it is, that's important. Baseball is probably my favorite. You go on a summer afternoon to a 4 o'clock game. You just know you're just out there chilling. I'm good with that. But to LB's point, I cannot do football live, especially the NFL. The NFL to me has so many non-football people don't know how to drink, don't know how to hold it, call themselves, doing what do you call it, tailgating.
Yeah.
And I'm at a point where I won't take my grandchildren to a game because I'm gonna be sitting next to some idiot who's just cussing and just not being a good fan. I don't see that at the collegiate games or the high school games.
Right.
But the thing that I miss the most is what LB said. If I'm in there, if it's a questionable play, they're not going to show the replay.
Yep.
The home team, they won't show it because they don't want, the reaction, which to me, and so that sport, if you watch that sport on television, man, the amount of cameras that they have now, the replay, I need that for football. The other sport that I like, that I prefer live but can watch on television is tennis. I go to a lot of pro tennis matches. If you've never done it, you really got to give it a shot.
Yeah.
To Freddie's point about being old, he's 100% right. And when you get old, you get very specific in your ways. And for me, if my house is linear now, because Maria grown and gone, so we changed a lot of things here once she became an adult. I have a home theater that used to be a multi-purpose, is not multi-purpose anymore. You go in there for one thing and one thing only, to watch movies and get lost for 2 or 3 hours. LB made the point a few weeks ago, there's no television in my bedroom. I'm just not going to do it. Now, in the master suite, there is a sitting room off adjacent to it. There is a flat screen in there. But if I go to bed and can't sleep, which is rare because I can pretty much sleep anywhere, I will get up and go to another room and either get on the computer or watch television. But if so I don't do it there. And so when I say I'm linear, kind of like LB, I've got the one big screen downstairs that I use for just sports. I've got my favorite chair, I've got my beverage. If it's something like the Final Four, I'll have a table next to me with the laptop because I'm actually looking for things while I'm watching, almost like if I were covering the game from a media perspective. I like to get into the stats. But I think the way we consume the sports has a lot to do with how we embrace and enjoy whatever those sports are. If it's a sport that you're really passionate about, I do think live is the best. I wish the NFL games were just a better experience live.
If you are on court side, or if you are not down, it's really just an extracurricular act. It's a social outing.
Oh, we see it. Yeah, you're 100% right. I see it at baseball games. People coming in, they just chatting the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like, man. So are you saying, Freddie, that
it's for the baseball? They came, you like to socialize. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you saying though that it's less likely to happen if you have really good seats, in your opinion?
Yes, it's less if you have, because when you have great seats. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. You have you see NBA finals or NBA playoffs, but you see celebrities courtside, and half the people you look at, you don't know nothing about basketball. You just doing that because you gonna be on camera.
Want to be seen.
Yeah.
But but when you really look at it, it's when you have really good seats, then one of you paid money. Then you have also invested not only in the seats for that particular game or event, if you will, but you have now invested in time. And when I say time, guess what? You have probably invested in your wardrobe. You have probably invested in where you're going pregame dinner. Guess what? You probably have already planned out where you're going to go post game or whatever. All these things, it becomes an event within itself.
Yeah, I would say to Freddie's point, and we did exactly that when we went to see Carolina. We knew ahead of time where we were going to dinner after the game, so that helped structure what we were going to do while we were there. Turns out, not only did they win, we got free biscuits in the process. But
what a blessing!
Still talking about them biscuits.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry. Look, I can't let that go. But yeah, and so that's. For me, that's next level. If I get to see a team that I'm supporting, me and LB are going to go see the Yankees in a couple of weeks. That I like watching them. I like watching Carolina, things of that nature. So I get it. I just think that it's good to consume them in the way that you're going to enjoy them the most. So if you're watching all your sports on TV, crush it, but make it an environment that you're comfortable with, that, you're good to go with. Or if you're going to be that person, and I had that phase in my life where I was doing, I think the Wizards and the Nats at the same time, because, it was a vibe in the city at that point in time. But now it just takes too much time for me to get into the city. I can't do that, as nearly as frequently as I used to. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. To the audience, if you guys have something unique about the way you consume sports, drop a comment in and let us know, and we'll highlight a couple of those next week. Before we check out, let me see if the guys have something to say, and I'm going to start with you, Freddie. You got something to say today, man?
People out in, California or whatever, the protesters, please keep it peaceful. If you showing up just to take advantage of the situation, stay your ass at home. If you're not going to be a part of the solution, don't create problems. So be safe. Exercise your constitutional rights with peaceful protest and go from there. But don't riot. Don't loot. Destroy property and things of that nature. Because then when you start doing those things, then you're taking away from the purpose of the gathering. So
totally get that. LB, what you got to say today, man?
Yeah, I didn't see any of this, but I was happy with the results. Shout out to Coco Golf for the win. I was disappointed in the response that
Sabalenka, yes,
Sabalenka, what she had to say about how it wasn't that Coco played great; it was her. She just didn't have a good game. She had so many unforced errors. When actually, from stuff that I saw, the errors was caused because Coco was bringing the heat. So don't, take your loss like a woman. It's, woman up and say, yeah, she got me. She beat me fair and square. You can't blame the weather. Y'all both played. They like it was sunny on her side of the court and raining on your side of the court. The weather was the weather. It is what it is. You lost, accept it, and move on. But shout out to Coco for getting that title.
Yeah, and I'll say this: what LB just said. I literally said that to Dee the other day. I said I watched that, and I said it was disappointing to watch Sabalenka's interview because, she's talking about, I had 70 unforced errors, etc. But why?
Right.
Because the person on the other side was playing really well. Yes. And had you won, I guarantee you that Coco would have had more unforced errors. That is the nature of sports. The guy that gets his ass knocked out in LB's boxing match could say, geez, I would have won if I didn't get knocked out. Of course. But you got caught. Yeah. And the other thing this kind of ties into is something that you said, LB, when you were talking about sportsmanship and Halliburton last week. You and I used to preach this to my kids and to my players, and I know they didn't like it, but we are going to be graceful in defeat, right? There are teams that I would have that I really wanted to kick their asses, but then times it just doesn't work out. But you can't be all happy and whatnot when you win, but then put these asterisks out there. And here's the other thing I didn't realize till after that, LB. The last time that I went to Sandals with you 2 years ago was when Coco won the U.S. Open.
Right.
Yeah. And she beat her.
Mm-hmm.
That was the person that she beat to get there.
Okay.
Because, you at some point, Sabalenka, you can't do that. I just think that's poor sportsmanship. So
yeah.
It was bigger than just this match. This was something that's been brewing.
Oh, 100% it was. Dude, if you watch the highlights, she started cussing out her coaches and stuff like, what is that dude in the chair going to do for you? You just hit the ball into the net, but she's yelling at him. She was coming unglued.
Yeah.
And so I took points away, LB. I took major points away. You can't be number one in the world and act that way.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I got something to say. I thought LB, he came dangerously close to saying it, but he didn't when he was talking about watching sports from overseas. One of the biggest challenges or problems that I have with sports, especially on television, is I think they're over-announced. I think it's way too much talking. And if you're watching a sport that you're familiar with, you just don't need that. And when I watch pro tennis, going to LB's point, early on in the match, before you get to the quarterfinals, the tennis network will cover that.
Okay.
And so I get to watch the broadcast from Australia or from Great Britain, and all I hear is,
Yep.
and then I hear, and then they just keep going. I literally did a test on a baseball game last week. So you know the cycle. Pitcher has the ball, pitches, whatever happens, ball comes back to him. I call that the cycle, or either somebody hits. One time in 9 innings, the 2 announcers said nothing. One time. So even when they're throwing it back, I think they feel that they are compelled to just talk.
Yeah.
I took it a step further, LB, and I looked up the history of it. It started when radio was there because we needed someone to tell us what was going on.
Right. Yeah.
So why, at this point, with the development of sports and cameras and technology, do we need that? And I know what a lot of the people are going to say, you can just mute, but I want the rest of it.
Right.
I just don't need these two clowns, yes, telling me that, that ball was a little outside. Dude, there's a square in front of the catch, and I could see it was outside. And so I just wish that in the U.S., if you don't understand what I'm talking about, do what LB was talking about. Find a sporting event that any other country is broadcasting.
Yeah.
When they say something, it's poignant. It's not talking just for the sake of talking. We in this country have gotten to the point now where we'll bring 3 announcers to a game, and it is just a constant chatterbox. And I find it distracting and disturbing. I don't think it's going to change, but I did want to bring it to the table. So, it's a bad beat. Every sport too, by the way. I'm not just picking on tennis. I think the NFL does it, NBA does it, Major League Baseball does it. Just I need these people to shut the hell up. So that's all we got.
What are they getting paid for, right? And these people are getting paid well.
And here's the other thing, Freddie. If you want to pull that thread, technically, there's no reason for them to be in the stadium that they're calling the game from.
Right.
I could save them. I could put them in the studio. They could say what I'm seeing when I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of money that I would rather see maybe go towards equipment or go towards the player, give somebody a bigger contract. I don't think you need the type of money that, Tom Brady's getting, for example. I don't need that level of expertise to watch an NFL game. I know how the game's played.
Yeah.
I got it. So, but I'm not in his pocket, Freddie. I'm not knocking his hustle. I'm saying systemically, it's getting worse. They're bringing more and more people to games to overanalyze things that you can do yourself while you watch it. And for me, it takes the enjoyment out the game. So yeah, I probably went over my 90 seconds with that. Anyway, if you guys feel some kind of way about that, you can also chirp in there as well. Hope you guys are having a great beginning of your summer. As always, thanks for rocking with us. We will look forward to talking to everybody next week. We're out.